Hello, pioneers, welcome back to the Crypto Plug YouTube channel. You can always get the latest information on the Pi network here first. Guys, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell symbol to stay informed of new developments as well as to support our efforts. Huobi declares its intention to keep track on Pi network mainnet upgrades. A major exchange doesn't want to miss the excitement surrounding Pi network. Following a favorable review of the project, Huobi declared it will actively monitor Pi network's upgrades. The action almost definitely signals a plan to list the Pi network token when it becomes available. On Christmas Day, December 25, the large centralized exchange Huobi updated its audience with a blog announcement, continuing its dedication to track and support leading cryptocurrency projects for its platform. Huobi said that it will keep an eye on Pi network mainnet developments and quickly examine the project for listing. Huobi will closely monitor Pi network based on the community's favorable recommendation. Huobi declares its intention to keep track on Pi network mainnet upgrades. Pi will be evaluated for listing as soon as possible following the successful upgrade of the main network. Over 30 million users actively participate in the Pi network community. The network is now striving to onboard millions of users through its cutting-edge KYC procedure. It is in the closed mainnet stage. One of the most well-known cryptocurrency exchanges in the world, Huobi, supports all well-known cryptocurrencies and tokens. Huobi is guaranteed to not want to miss the excitement surrounding the enormous Pi network. Use an invitation code when signing up if you want to. You can set up your account in less than a minute, and mining Pi only takes a few seconds per day. And if you think about it, joining the Pi network is pretty much a no-brainer. In this video, I want to address a very significant query: how does a Pi network generate revenue? Although many people make assumptions about a Pi coin's value, we still don't know for sure what it is currently, and the Pi network isn't really profiting from Pi coins. Only after the mainnet goes live will users on the network be able to receive their coins. Pi coins won't therefore be worth anything prior to that. For many people, this is both good and bad news because it means that we will have to wait a very long time before the coins are formally released. The good news is that we now have a lot more time to mine Pi coins. One thing you must keep in mind is that once the coins are formally released, we can no longer mine additional coins. Pi coins will therefore have a limited supply, unlike Doge coins. So, if you remember anything from economics class, this means that the price of Pi coins will increase if demand increases. This idea can be compared to getting a hold of stock before a company goes public. For instance, it's similar to getting your hands on Apple stock before the company releases or makes it possible for people like us to buy it. As a consumer, I find this to be pretty cool because the network intends to create a marketplace, and also permit developers to build their own blockchain-based applications. This effectively establishes an uncontrolled, decentralized economy on the internet. Additionally, it gives developers the flexibility to use a blockchain and Pi coins for any kind of projects, including the creation of stock market apps, casinos, and just about anything else you can imagine. The Pi network has a bright future, and I believe its administrators are intelligent and fairly smart. The Pi Community Company is the name of the organization that created the Pi network. In my previous video, we looked at lawsuits brought by one of the company's former employees and learned a lot about it. In essence, the Pi network was sued for wrongful termination by one of its former founders. Check out my most recent video if you want to know the entire story. But in general, he believed that he was mistreated while working for the company. Whether or not this is the case, the document provided a wealth of information regarding the company's finances. In the early stages of the project, we were able to observe that the Pi network raised a sizable sum of money using a mechanism known as a safe agreement. Safe agreements refer to straightforward equity agreements. It was initially developed by a team at the Y Combinator, and it has become a fairly well-liked strategy for funding startups in their early stages. Investors in this case gave the Pi network $800,000 in exchange for the chance to use that money to purchase equity in the project at a later time. They do this because safe agreements compensate these investors for taking on the risk of making investments in projects at an earlier stage. At a lower cost than anyone else, they can convert that cash into equity. For instance, they might be able to purchase shares of the Pi network for 70 cents when everyone else is paying $1 for them. According to Vince McPhilip's official complaint, which was submitted to the California Supreme Court in St. Declara, the Pi network was already valued at about $20 million as of February 2020. The network only had about 3.5 million users at this time. As of March 2021, the network will have approximately 14 million users. This indicates that since then, the Pi network has expanded by a factor of roughly 6. In this instance, evaluation was based on the total number of participants. Additionally, this implies that the Pi network should now be valued at about $80 million. However, the only thing we can be certain of at this time is that they raised about $800,000 through safe agreements. This was one of the Pi's most effective early funding methods. Furthermore, I wouldn't be shocked if the business is issuing debt or equity. They may soon be able to issue debt or equity on a significant scale, in my opinion. This would also benefit many investors who earlier chose to enter into safe agreements with the business. In conclusion, the Pi network generated enormous profits by issuing safe agreements, equity, and debt. The Pi network has been able to make money in other ways as well, though, so this is not the only one. We also shouldn't forget that the Pi network founders made significant financial contributions to this project in the past. Prior to Vince McPhilip's lawsuit, we know that about 100 million shares were authorized and issued. We also observe that during the litigation itself, an additional 1.5 billion shares were authorized. We can calculate that the founders of this company personally invested about $55,000 in the business when we take the issue price on the document. Keep in mind that Vince chose not to take part in this issuance. In essence, this indicates that he was never granted his 500 million shares. His share of the business probably fell to 3%. Dr. Kokalis and Fong are likely the Pi network's two biggest stakeholders right now. The Pi network was able to survive in its early years in this way as well. To keep their businesses alive, the founders occasionally had to take money out of their own pockets. The document reveals that the Pi network had numerous financial problems at the time. For instance, Christina Birch, a current employee of the Pi network and a former executive at Sony, was unable to receive payment for at least a year. She apparently served as a contractor for the project at the time, and her bill wasn't paid for at least a year. Companies and businesses require cash to operate, and the only way a company could ever fail is by running out of cash. I'm glad the Pi network overcame this obstacle and endured for as long as it did. In addition, they made room for new sources of income by allowing advertisements on their platform. In May 2020, the Pi network began to use advertisements on their platform. This could have been a solution to their current financial problems. But the business could also benefit greatly from this. Let's assume that the network makes $1 every 1,000 impressions. We can see from the document that Vince filed that there were roughly 3 million daily active users on the Pi network. Accordingly, the network would make about $3,000 per day, or $90,000 per month. Given the network's daily growth, this number can only get larger and larger. Merely in the US. By ourselves, we can see that the network increased from roughly 18,000 users in September 2020, to approximately 747,000 users in February. Just for February, this would amount to about $22,000 in total. But consider how much money the network currently makes overall from just ads. Since the Pi network has grown by about 4 times since February 2020, it is most likely making about $360,000 each month. This estimate is probably also very conservative because the network probably spends much more than just $1 per 1,000 impressions. Realistically, this business could potentially bring in $1.2 million each and every month. This might seem like a lot of money, but keep in mind that the Pi network has an entire team working on this project. There are 8 people in all. They also have to pay for contractors and maintain the servers on top of all of that. In any case, the business will be able to use advertising to generate a sizable enough sum of money to support itself. The Pi Coin's official release, however, is when this project will start to make real money. A quarter of the total Pi supply goes to the project's developers. This calculation, which I explained in another video, essentially determines a sufficient supply of Pi coins. There ought to be about 77 billion coins overall. Since the developers in this case receive about 25%, they would receive about 15 billion coins as compensation. With the Pi coins, they would have a total of $24 billion if the price of a coin were somewhere between $1 and 58 cents. The founding members would become instant billionaires as a result. The typical person would gain a lot from this as well because they would have about $1,220 in coins. The Pi narrative raised a significant sum of money in the past through secure agreements and independent funding of the project. This came to about $880,000 all told. They started running ads on the platform in May of 2020, which greatly assisted them in raising a lot of money. And the monthly average is currently estimated to be around $360,000. However, when the coins are eventually released, this project will really start to make money. This would instantly make the project's founders billionaires, and it would also greatly increase the wealth of network participants. 1,000 coins would be worth approximately $1,500, 10,000 coins would be worth approximately $15,000, and 10,000 coins would be worth approximately $158,000. I sincerely hope you all liked this video. For more Pi Network and other crypto content, be sure to like and subscribe. I sincerely hope you all had a wonderful week and enjoyed this video. And as always, I'll see you guys again soon with more content related to Pi Network.